Welcome back, guys, to yet another episode of NFL Nitro. We are back, obviously, and it is your host, Jackafet9, oh my god, joined by,
James J. Jam.
it was a very interesting week. An upset or two may have occurred. Any thoughts about it?
Loved seeing Buffalo, loved seeing Washington. We can get
Fair.
into that later.
Yes, sir. If you're only interested in the predictions for the championship weekend, obviously go to this time. And except for that, let's get right into it.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, the first game of the divisional weekend was quite an interesting one between the Chiefs and the Texans. The Chiefs ended up winning the game 23 points to 14. And, kind of a game I feel like we all expected, to be honest. The Texans, they came out and they played really tough. They played a lot better than I think maybe some people were expecting. I don't know if anyone was really expecting it to be a blowout, just the way the Chiefs have been playing this year. But, the Texans, regardless, still did very well. Kind of going at the start of the game, it got hot early. It was first play, the Chiefs broke away and ran 70 yards down the field. And actually fumbled the ball. I believe it was Chris Boyd forced the fumble, then proceeded to, I believe, taunt. Afterwards, his special teams coordinator was pissed off because they just gave up a 70-yard play and didn't even get the ball back. And then Chris Boyd takes his helmet off, gets a 15-yard penalty, and then shoves his special teams coordinator in the chest. It's just a crazy first play, especially in the playoffs, giving up a 15-yard penalty, and obviously I believe the Chiefs definitely got points out of that. Obviously I'll start with the Texans. CJ Stroud played a really good game. They've had so many weapons out as we've talked about, but at the end of the day, I think your best weapon is your O-line, because the Texans O-line did not show up. They gave up 8 sacks in this game. Just awful. He was getting pressured left, right, and center. CJ got injured near the end of the game. Did manage to finish it though, but overall just couldn't get much going because his O-line didn't help him at all. But CJ did finish with 245 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Overall, very solid game. But overall, obviously a very solid game. He's had a pretty solid playoffs. There's definitely there's a lot of improvements there to be made for sure. But overall, not a terrible game. Joe Mixon had a pretty solid game as well. He rushed for 88 yards and 1 touchdown on 18 carries. So overall, he did have a pretty solid game. Nico Collins, once again, for the Texans, was their leading receiver, one of the more underrated players in the league for sure. He had 81 yards on 5 receptions. Dalton Schultz also did pretty well with 63. Xavier Hutchinson had 52 yards, and John Mechie had 35. Overall, was a pretty solid outing from the Texans. To go into Arrowhead and try and perform, it definitely wasn't the best, and they didn't even do the best. They also missed a couple field goals. I believe it was an extra point they missed and a field goal. So they definitely didn't play at their best. But obviously, I think the biggest improvement has to be that O-line. Just was not cooking, that's for sure. But moving on to the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, he had a pretty solid outing himself. Obviously you'd expect him to be rusty, but he wasn't all that bad. He kind of played pretty average for playoff Mahomes, but also average for how he's been playing this year. He threw for 177 yards and a touchdown. Overall solid outing, as we kind of expected from him. Kareem Hunt had 8 carries for 44 yards and a touchdown, which was their leader. Isaiah Pacheco, he also had 18 on the ground. I'm not completely sure, but is that his first game back from injury? I'm not
Probably.
completely sure,
They
but
haven't played the starters in weeks. So,
that's true. But Travis Kelce decided, F it, I'm him again, and he absolutely dominated. He went off for 7 receptions for 117 yards and a touchdown. Had an amazing game for sure, and the Texans just could not hold him. The next player was Xavier Worthy with 45 yards, and that was it, really. Overall, very solid game, but not without some controversy, some Chiefs controversy. 2 main calls in this game, which may or may not have gone against the Texans. The first one being, I believe it was a roughing the passer, or it was like a high hit, I should say. Yeah, just like unnecessary roughness after the ball was thrown by Patrick Mahomes, which wasn't
Roughing
even
the passer.
unnecessary. And yeah, obviously that's been for them this whole year. But the other one, Patrick Mahomes, well, it's probably a bit more controversial because Patrick Mahomes slid right before the defenders could actually like get to him, and then they proceeded to slightly tap his head or his helmet, which caused a 15-yard penalty. In fact, they hit each other, so I don't know. It's interesting, but obviously it's something the game's got to look at. Everyone's got to look at, because I mean, quarterbacks are just taking advantage of defenders left, right, and center when they can just slide right before the tackler can make a tackle and get a free 15 yards. But you know, good on Patrick Mahomes for exploiting that. Obviously, he knew the rules and he bent them. But you know, I don't want that to sour over what the Chiefs did. So good win for the Chiefs, and they move on to yet another championship game.
the next game was the Washington Commanders pulling out a great upset win against the number 1 seeded Detroit Lions in a game that no one saw coming. I know I actually said it was going to be a blowout the other way, but the Commanders just looked amazing. This game had a lot of fireworks by both teams. Actually, it was 31-21 at halftime, and yeah, both offenses looked really good. The Commanders won the 4th quarter though, 14-3, which put it away, obviously. The first guy we're going to bring up is the obvious. It's Jaden Daniels. Put up an incredible game. He put up 299 yards, 2 touchdowns, and added an extra 51 with his legs. I didn't see this coming. I knew he was good, but geez, he looked comfortable out there against, you know, one of the best teams all season. But on the ground, Brian Robertson Jr. had a very fine performance as well. He put up 2 touchdowns and 77 yards on 15 carries, with Jeremy McNichols also getting into the end zone once on 4 carries for 8 yards. Terry McLaurin had a big... You could pretty much just pick out any Commanders player. They probably had a big play, but Terry McLaurin had a 59-yard touchdown. He finished with 87 yards and 4 catches. The leading rusher for the Commanders was, you know, the standout receiver, De'Ami Brown, who put up 6 catches for 98 yards. Austin Eckler also contributed with 41 yards in the air on 4 catches, and Zach Ertz finishing it off with 5 catches for 28 yards and 1 touchdown. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know how to say his name, but it was Mike Sanras still. He had 2 interceptions. One of them was thrown by Jameson Williams, I put out there, but he was coming up big. Obviously, 2 interceptions in a playoff game is a great feat, especially for a rookie corner. Safety Quan Martin also got a pick 6 in that game with, you know, just a bad ball by Jared Goff. And Jeremy Chin also had an interception. Lots of interceptions to go around, as the Commanders just couldn't be stopped. In this game, there was the highest scoring quarter in postseason history, with 42 points being scored in the 2nd quarter between the 2 teams. I mean, Goff, you know, was throwing touchdowns for both teams, and Jane Daniels was unstoppable. But for the Lions, the turnovers really killed them in this one. Jared Goff put up 313 yards, 1 touchdown, but 3 interceptions and a fumble. One of his worst games in recent memory. He did throw 5 interceptions in a win, right? But like, this was just a bad game, bad time to have this game as well. We also saw Jameson Williams go 0 for 1 with an interception. He threw it into just blanket coverage. It was a bad. I don't know why he threw it. But that did not help them at all. Teddy Bridgewater also came in for a little bit, but he wasn't in for very long. Completed 1 pass. I'm in a rule 1. On the ground, Jameer Gibbs had a dominant day with 105 yards and 2 touchdowns on 14 carries. I'm pretty confident in saying that he's a top 5 running back already. He might be the best running back from his draft class. I'm just putting it out there. He also had 70 yards in the air on 6 catches.
Damn.
Jameson Williams had 1 big catch, which was an end around, which went for 61 yards to the house. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 8 catches for 137 yards. Great day. Sam Laporta, 6 for 51. I mean, the Lions offense as a whole, aside from the mistakes by Goff and the 1 interception by Jameson Williams, everyone else did their part. They played well. They put up 31 points still. But, the Jared Goff is the guy that the reason, honestly, that they lost this game. Because you're not gonna win with that many turnovers. Big shout out to Jaden Daniels. He showed, he was really calm out there and just played an amazing game. So, I feel like the Commanders right now are the team that everyone's rooting for because, they're the underdogs. They're the young team
For sure.
that wasn't supposed to make it anywhere close to here. And here they are. 1 game away from the Super Bowl. So, yeah, great win for them, honestly.
Well, the next game was the other NFC divisional matchup between the LA Rams and the Saquon Barkley-led Eagles, which ended up being an Eagles victory, 28 points to 22. Obviously, yeah, it was a snow game. It was tough. It was gritty, but there was a lot of great moments in it. We'll start with the winning Eagles. Jalen Hurts did not do very well. I feel like last week a lot of people, including us, virtually everyone was saying that Jalen Hurts really needed to exceed in what he did. And overall, he played fine, but they are still playing extremely one-dimensional on offense. They're not really passing it all that much. I mean, 128 yards really ain't that much for how high-powered of an offense they have. But overall, he played fine. He completed at around 75%. Yeah, he played fine and also added with 70 yards on the ground with a touchdown. But the main man, Saquon Barkley, went nuclear against the Rams with 26 carries for 205 yards and 2 touchdowns. He absolutely cooked. I believe one of his touchdowns was a 60 or like a 50-yard run. The other was like a 70-yard run. He just absolutely went off against the Rams, and he's by far the best running back in the league. And I actually don't know if it's close, to be honest. I mean, King Henry, obviously, he's in though. But like Saquon, he's such a difference maker. It's insane. Very much like what Christian McCaffrey was last year for the Niners. Just their whole team, and absolutely cooked. But receiving wise, Dallas Goedert actually led the receiving with 4 receptions for 56 yards. Saquon Barkley added with 4 receptions for 27 yards. No, but both Devontae Smith and AJ Brown were virtually non-factors for like the 2nd week in a row. They are winning football games, but we know the talents that they are. They're crazy receivers. They're like not getting the ball at all. It's well, it's quite disheartening for the Eagles, obviously. But overall, still a solid performance, nonetheless. Also, shout out to guys like Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith, both forcing fumbles, which were a big problem for the Rams. And now let's talk about them. Obviously, Matthew Stafford, he played such a great game. He went 26 for 44 with 324 yards, 2 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. He had quite a nice game out there, especially in the snow. I mean, it was pretty trying conditions, and he cooked. I mean, he did well. Obviously tried to lead his team as best he could, but just couldn't quite. To me, it did seem like the talent difference just really got him in the end. The Eagles are so talented, man. They really are. And yeah, I mean, Matthew Stafford, is this his last game ever? Question mark. Who knows? He's obviously pondering it. Kyron Williams, he had a solid game. He had 19 carries for 106 yards, 0 touchdowns, and I believe he had 2 fumbles. So actually, one of the more safer backs in the league. I can't remember the last time he's fumbled, and he fumbled twice. Like I kind of undermined it, but I mean the snowy conditions were pretty bad, and you know a team from LA clearly weren't ready for it and kind of got cooked. But yeah, overall he still played pretty solidly. Puka Nacua had 6 receptions for 97 yards. He was very nice for them. He was definitely cooking. DeMarcus Robinson, actually, he was really nice at the end of the game. Obviously, I guess I'll talk about it now. They got the ball back, down 6, and they drove all the way down the field but couldn't score. It was a crazy ending, to be honest. Just so brutal for the Rams. But DeMarcus Robinson, he had a really nice game. I believe all of his receptions came in the last minutes of the game. And as well as Cooper Kupp, who had 5 receptions for 61 yards. Tyler Higbee was big. He did have a touchdown near the end of the game for 54 yards and a touchdown, which actually kept the Rams alive. So yeah, they scored a touchdown, then they got a stop, and then they had a chance to score again, but unfortunately just came short. Overall, just a really solid game. Oh no, my fault, I got it wrong. It was actually Colby Parkinson, who was the other tight end. He scored the touchdown, and was overall their other touchdown grabber. But yeah, it was such a solid game, and it really could have gone any way at the times, you know, at certain times. I mean, simply Saquon Barkley's him. I don't think there's too much to say. Yeah, he is 100% him. And I mean, the Eagles are going to be extremely hard to stop, that's for sure. But yeah, great win for the Eagles.
You mentioned how, you know, tough that loss was for the Rams, that ending. This game, I'm not gonna lie, was 1,000 times worse for the losing team though. With the Baltimore Ravens falling just short by 1 2-point conversion at the end of the game, as the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen pull it out 27-25. Yeah, crazy game. And you know, if what you said last week was correct, then Josh Allen will be the MVP. So
he played like it,
just as I predicted. Facts. It was a crazy game. The 2 quarterbacks, both of them just got it done. Lamar probably, he had the better overall stats, but he also had the turnovers, so Josh Allen was a little safer with the ball. Maybe his stats won't blow you away, but he got it done. And whenever they needed him to, you know, 3rd down and short, 4th down and short, he was unstoppable. Josh Allen finished with 127 yards in the air and then 20 yards on the ground with 2 rushing touchdowns. But yeah, as I was saying, when the Bills are on those like 3rd and short, 4th and short situations, short yardage situations, it feels like there's nothing you can do. Because Josh Allen's getting the ball and he's getting a 1st down or a touchdown. James Cook, on the other hand, had a very solid game against the type of defense he was playing against. We know how good the Ravens are. He was 17 for 67, and he had 15 yards in the air as well. But for the receivers, it was pretty disappointing for the Bills. You know, Khalil Shakir was a leading receiver by far, with 6 catches for 67 yards. Obviously. And then Curtis Samuel had 2 catches for 9 yards, and then Cook's 3 receptions as well. Those 3 were the only players to put up multiple receptions in the game. Crazy. You know, shout out to this. Damar Hamlin forced a fumble on Lamar, which was recovered by Von Miller. Von Miller was moving too. Big return, which resulted in a couple plays later a Josh Allen rushing touchdown. Taylor Rapp also had an interception on the second drive of the game for Baltimore. Just I don't really know what went wrong there, but Lamar threw it straight to him. Game time. But yeah, good interception by Taylor Rapp. I guess it was pretty easy. Anyway, for the Bills, even in the first half, they only had 7 pass attempts. They were 5 for 7. They just, the game won't blow you away, but they played mistake-free football, and every time Baltimore made a mistake, they took advantage for sure. They scored touchdowns, I think, after both. After both. So it's great, but for the Ravens, it was a solid game, not perfect, but they were right there. I'll mention, now Mark Andrews, who didn't have a perfect game, put up like solid statistics, but wasn't amazing. But late in the game, I think like about a minute to go, Lamar throws a great touchdown pass to Bateman, and then on a 2-point conversion, Mark Andrews just drops a catch that he really should have had. Overall for the game, Lamar went 18 for 25, 253 yards, 2 touchdowns. Did throw that 1 interception, had that 1 fumble, and he also added just under 40 yards on the ground. Not a perfect game, and unfortunately I feel like some of the stupid people are still going to talk about how he hasn't made the Super Bowl and whatnot, but that's sort of stupid. Overall, not a perfect game, but it was not all on him, that loss at all. Derrick Henry, though, had a great day, so did Justice Hill, but Derrick Henry, 16 for 84, 1 touchdown. I thought I would have said this. And then Justice Hill had 6 carries for 50 yards. The two even combined for a great drive late in the third quarter, which was 60 plus rushing yards on the 1 drive, which led to a touchdown by Derrick Henry. Receiving wise, Isaiah Likely was the man for the Ravens with 73 yards and a touchdown, and the 24-yard late in the fourth. So actually, not Bateman, my fault. I thought that because Rashad Bateman actually had a touchdown earlier in the game. He finished with 4 catches for 66 and a touchdown. Mark Andrews finishes with 5 catches for 61. That might be how he finishes his career as a Raven. But we'll have to wait and see. And then Tylan Wallace had a 27-yard catch. Disappointing for the Ravens for sure, but I don't think you can be all too upset because overall it was a great season, and I think we have to just give credit to them because they're a great team all season. That Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson duo is amazing, and I'm excited to see what they do next year. Or next season.
Yeah, right,
but for this season, we get to see Josh Allen playing Patrick Mahomes with a chance to the Super Bowl. A chance to go to the Super Bowl on the line.
Just before we do go into that, actually we're gonna... well, no, it was actually about all the teams. Just something that I'd like to point out. I believe, I'm not completely sure, but I believe all of the teams that won this week had 0 turnovers. And all the other teams, the Bills had 0 turnovers, Chiefs 0 turnovers, Commanders 0 turnovers, and Philadelphia, so I believe that's 0. So it just shows, sometimes you don't need the most talent to win. Sometimes it's simply mistake-free football that wins you games, and it shows here. It'll be a very interesting playoff round. But I mean, it is your team if you want to talk about them, what happened today.
Oh yeah,
I'll give you the
the
center
national
stage.
championship game actually happened today, the day of recording. It was a great game. Ohio State dominated early. Notre Dame pushed back, but Ohio State fortunately were able to pull it out in the end. You know, with a Jeremiah Smith heroics, great big catch late in the game. Will Howard played probably his best game of his collegiate career. Um, Overall, just an amazing day. You know, Judkins was cooking. I love to see it. It was a really entertaining game as well. I might be a bit biased because I was pulling for Ohio State, obviously, but yeah, I really enjoyed the game. So shout out to Ohio State. You know.
Real.
That being
Well,
said, though, let's get into the prediction.
God,
Alright,
your
the
thoughts?
the first game, the NFC Championship games. First up, it is the Washington Commanders going into Philadelphia to play the Eagles. And in this one, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to go Philadelphia. You know, I love what Washington's got going on, but the Eagles have been getting it done. They've had a great season. Saquon Barkley's just gonna carry them to the win. You know, I think the Eagles' defense, as of right now, maybe not when the Lions' defense was healthy, but I think they are better and they have a better chance at least slowing down. Um, you know, Jaden Daniels. I think they're gonna be able to. They're not going to turn the ball over as much as Goff, and so I think it's going to be just a grinded out great win for the Eagles. You know, big game for Saquon. I think Jalen Hurts might get a little more involved. You know, their pass game hasn't. I talked about it last week. I'm not sure what they're going to be able to, if they're going to win much, with just relying on Saquon. But they did it. They proved me wrong, and I think they can do it again. I will say Washington has a great chance if they can just, you know, get it going early. Their offense is amazing, and so if they can just get in sync, they can definitely win by just outscoring the Eagles. But I definitely trust the Eagles more. There's nothing you can really do. You know, Saquon Barkley, doesn't matter how good you're playing him, he's going to end up popping a short run loose for 40 yards and a touchdown. You know, he's going to just pound you. And yeah.
What?
Yeah. It's also in Philly, I'll put it out there. Home field advantage matters a lot in this league.
It does. But yeah, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to agree with you. I mean, how do you stop Saquon? It's as simple as that. I don't know if you can stop Saquon, to be honest. I don't think it's possible. I don't. Name me a guy who can stop Saquon.
Miles Garrett.
Okay, sure. But I do genuinely, I kind of think the Commanders' defense is kind of comparable to the Rams' defense. A lot of decent players, you know, that can make plays, but ultimately, I don't think anyone's gonna stop Saquon. I mean, you got Bobby Wagner out there who's 40 years old. You really think he's gonna go out there and stop a prime Saquon? Good luck with that. Obviously, they do got a lot of ballers. Can't be mad with guys like Jaden Daniels. But ultimately, yeah, as you did lightly brush on, home field advantage matters a lot. I think that if this game is in Washington, that Washington have just so much more of a chance of winning. But Philadelphia, tough place to play. Rams found out. Green Bay found out. Everyone's finding out. At least Washington are kind of acclimatized though to the cold a bit more than the Rams.
Yeah.
Overall, I do have Philly winning it though. Moving on from that, it is the AFC Championship between the Chiefs and the Bills. I mean, it's going to be a big game. We've seen this game before. We've seen this story before. It's all gone the Chiefs' way. Can the Bills do it? I'm just not too sure, to be honest. It's actually really tough for me. Obviously, as you guys know, I'm a big Broncos fan. I hate the Chiefs. Every part of my body wants to go the Bills, but I just don't know if I can. Shut up. I just don't know if I can go the Bills. You know, the Chiefs have all been there, done that, thousands of times. I didn't even mention it when we were doing the post-game thing, but you know, guys like George Karlaftis, he had 3 sacks against the Texans. He was cooking. They just have guys who just show up every play, you know, and it's so annoying. But they're just so good and they're so competitive, especially in playoffs. It's so tough, obviously, to play them, especially in Arrowhead, which I don't know if there's much, you know, competition. It is probably by far the hardest place to play, especially come playoff time. It has become an absolute fortress, and they've been able to defend anyone who's come into their fortress.
Okay, bro.
And, you know, they've stopped them. Except for Joe Burrow. But that was years ago.
Should have been in the playoffs this year. He would have beat them.
Don't know if he would have beat the Bills, low key.
That's funny.
Hey, don't go 4-8, buddy. But obviously, you know, Travis Kelce, you know, I expect him to have his last hurrah. I think that this will be it for him. He balled against the Texans. I expect him to ball out again. I mean, the Bills have extremely good players, and Josh Allen's going to be up for it. I do think that if there is a team to beat the Chiefs, honestly, at all in this playoffs, the remaining teams, it will be the Bills. I'm not saying 100% that if they make the Super Bowl that they'll win it, but
They will.
you know, the Chiefs, that is. But the Bills, to me, they've kind of coded themselves. They're kind of like the Timberwolves last year when they played the Nuggets. They built themselves to beat the Nuggets, and that's what I think that the Bills could be doing here. You know, building themselves to beat the Chiefs. They ultimately know that they have to beat the Chiefs to make the Super Bowl. I just don't know if they can do it. Obviously, I'm gonna go. Unfortunately, I should say, I'm going with the Chiefs. I'm not gonna be doubting Patrick Mahomes, especially in such a big game. But yeah, obviously, it's gonna be a good one. That's for sure.
Man, I am not going out. This is really my last chance. If the Chiefs win, I'm picking them. Because I feel like this is a real Super Bowl. And I am not going to fold and pick the Chiefs in this one. I have to stick with the Bills. You know, they were my one seed at the start of the season. Josh Allen's been my MVP since like week 2. And the Bills are also the only real team. We're not including the Broncos beating their backups, but the only real team to beat them this season.
Yeah, we beat their backup.
And
38-0.
I think it's just I'm taking the Bills here. Honestly, I really like their chance. Josh Allen's just so amazing. Their defense is it's definitely close with the Chiefs' defense. I'd probably take the Bills, honestly. And they just got such a great team. I think it's going to be a big day for James Cook. If he can play well at least, then I think the Bills are going to be fine. I'm a little concerned because like Amari Cooper and all the receivers really in Buffalo just aren't all that great, but yeah, they don't have anyone close to Travis Kelce. I trust the Bills' defense overall, and I trust Josh Allen to get it done. I think it's going to be a really close one, though, no matter what. Both teams are amazing. We have maybe the 2 best, or at least 2 top 3 quarterbacks in the league, and just, yeah, I'm excited for this one.
Well, all I wanted to say, quarter point for me saying how the Bills were the only team to beat the Chiefs, and that is correct. That's one of the reasons I think that they are built to beat the Chiefs. They are, at the end of the day, the only ones. But the Bills did also get absolutely bashed by the Ravens and lost by like 25 points, I think it was. I get that was start of the year, but it just shows that even then it doesn't matter. I mean,
That's fair.
it was still quite a lot of weeks. It's been quite a lot of weeks since that Chiefs L to the Bills. That was like week 13.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, I don't know. Playoffs are a different beast, for sure. And maybe Josh Allen will find out again. Who knows?
He may not have the wins against the Chiefs, but I feel like he plays well in the playoffs. And that's the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you can come back in a week's time. Come back next week for some peak Pro Bowl prediction content.
Yes.
And we'll also be giving our review for these conference championship games. I'm excited. I know you are, but if there's nothing else you want to say, then let's get out of here.
No, I want to shout
Oh,
out
it's my fault.
our guy.
Shout out Oopie Poopy for the subscribe. Our 4th ever subscriber, our 2nd real one. Shout out Daniel as well, we won't forget you, but Oopie Poopy, thanks so much for subscribing. We won't let you down, please don't unsubscribe. We need this. You know, maybe give us a shout out. You got 31 subscribers, we have 4, so.
For real, you actually cooking.
Yeah, shout out to you, but anyway. Thanks everyone so much for watching. We'll be back.
Yes, sir.
Ready to end this season. It's been a great season. Lots of videos that we've made weekly. And it's been a grind for sure. I've enjoyed it.
Yes, sir.
You want to send us out of here?
Without further ado, for the 3rd last time of the season, goodbye. Things are getting chippy in this game.
I didn't even do anything. I'm doing shit.
No, I nice shot at him when he got goals. Damn. He stopped moving.
No, it's working. He's just busy fighting me.
That's it.
Who are
Birdie.
top 5 running backs in the league? Saquon,
Saquon,
Derrick Henry,
Saquon, King Henry,
James
Jameer Gibbs,
Jimmy Gibbs.
James Cook.
Who
I think
else?
it's Jameer Gibbs, James Cook.
I think so.
Buckier. James is good,
Shout
but
out
like
Buckier.
Jameer.
Jameer is a
Jameer had like, I feel like Jameer had nearly as many yards while sharing the backfield. Just saying.
James Cook had a
He's-
crazy season. He had 16 touchdowns. And with Josh
Jameer
Allen.
Jameer would have if David Montgomery wasn't there.
You mentioned why did he do that?
What?
I'm in a rule 1. I don't know why he wanted it so bad. Well, ref. He said that's not nice. Why would he want to say it?
Because he was toxic. He would have saved us earlier in the game.
Yeah,
And he kept bumping me. And I got slightly pissed, so I would have saved him. 'Cause he was annoying.
I will say I don't want to. I feel like I will cut out a bunch of my stuff because I'm gonna cut
You
out
were
like the
gonna.
waffling, but like
You did
Yeah.
waffle a little bit.
yeah.
I don't know, I haven't felt at my best.
Saquon was 18 for 40. Oh my gosh, we cooked him. I told you. We lost to the Eagles by 4, but Saquon Barkley 18 carries, 47 yards, 2.6 yards per carry. If the Commanders sign Myles Garrett, they have a chance.
Y'all are really
I'm so
gonna-
happy the Browns actually did something
Look
right.
at
Oh my gosh. The one team.
What week was it?
Week 6, 7, one of those.
I'm glad we did something right. All the way back in week 7.
We're,
Whoa. Whoa.
a win is a win.
That's pretty cool.
We lost actually, but like we wanted to lose because we knew we were gonna be in this position. So.
Anyways.
Damn, we're only gonna get. How do we decide which game we each get? Like rock paper scissors.
Whichever game's more interesting. Rock, paper, scissors, fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, we can do it now, honestly. I don't mind doing it now. Like,
Rock paper scissors.
deciding it. It should
We
be
can
a
put it in the
post-game
bloopers.
thing.
Ah,
Yeah, for sure. Alright. How do we do rock, paper, scissors?
just one. Just go and then say what you put out. I guess.
Alright.
Rock, paper.
Rock,
Scissors.
paper, scissors, scissors.
I did scissors. I did scissors.
Okay.
My fault.
I'm just gonna go like rock, paper, scissors and then say
And
it.
yeah, I got you. Alright.
Yeah.
Rock, paper,
Rock, paper,
scissors, rock.
scissors, rock.
Okay. Rock, paper, scissors,
Rock, paper, scissors, rock.
Yes.
Best of 3.
Okay. Rock, paper, scissors,
Rock, paper,
scissors.
scissors.
Rock,
Okay.
paper, scissors,
Rock, paper,
scissors.
scissors, paper.
Yes! Get him
Okay.
out of here. Alright, I'm taking the Bills. You can have the NFC.
I bet.
We'll give our review for this week, this round. What are we doing next week? Like, actually, I don't think we.
What?
The Super Bowl's gonna be the. Yeah, but like, review and then what? Because the Super Bowl's gonna have like an extra week, won't it? It's gonna be like a week.
So,
for the
aren't we
Pro Bowl.
gonna do the Pro Bowl games, I guess? I don't know.
Well, we're predicting Pro Bowl games now.
I guess.
All time low.
I
Oh
don't
my
wanna
god.
know.
Give me the AFC.
Who we
Oh.
think will win every game. Game mode. The
Give me.
golf,
I'm just
the
gonna be
dodgeball,
super
the ball
biased.
thing.
Alright, come back.